Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 16th Glendale City Council meeting being called to order at 6:05 PM. May I please have roll call?
Council members Brotman,
Here.
Divine,
Here.
Kasakian,
Here.
Najarian,
Here.
Mayor Asatrian.
Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing for the invocation.
As the descendant of genocide survivors who were displaced from their indigenous lands in Western Armenia, I'm acutely aware of the importance of remembering the past, acknowledging the present, and recognizing the indigenous people of the land on which we stand. This is why I begin my invocations with the acknowledgement that we are standing today on the indigenous lands of the Gabrielino Tongva people. In observance of Armenian Genocide Commemoration and Armenian American Heritage Month, let us recognize the resilience and strength of the Armenian people, who, regardless of facing continued adversity, and continue to have the unwavering determination and courage to survive and rebuild. The words of the poet, writer, and public intellectual Yerishe Charens provides us with the exhortation to be united. Ով հայ ժողովուրդ, քո միակ փրկությունը քո միասնական ուժի մեջ է. O Armenian people, your only salvation lies in the power of your unity. These words resonate beyond borders, reminding us of the profound importance of unity in overcoming challenges. As we honor the contributions of Armenian Americans in our community, let us reaffirm our commitment to inclusivity, unity, and building community. May these words inspire us to embrace the potential of our diversity and collective power to achieve great things for our city. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, can we have your report?
Yes, the agenda for the April 16, 2024 regular meeting of the Glendale City Council was posted on April 11th, 2024 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Okay, what's next?
Presentations and appointments. The first item is the announcement that there's no scheduled City Council meeting on the 23rd of April. The next regular meetings of the City Council will be on April 30th.
Next item?
Next is a proclamation designating April 14th through 20th, 2024 as National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week.
Thank you. And I believe we have Chief Fish and Jason Garrett who are going to be accepting the proclamation. If I can have you come forward. Welcome.
Hi there. Welcome.
I'll read the proclamation and then you can say a few words if you'd like. It reads, whereas across the nation in times of intense personal crisis and community-wide disasters, the first access point for those seeking all types of emergency assistance and homeland security information is the 911 Center. And whereas the Glendale Police Department and Verdugo Fire Communications Center that receives those calls have emerged as the first and single point of contact for persons seeking immediate emergency assistance and are expected to multitask under emergency conditions with compassion, accuracy, and professionalism throughout the year. And whereas this week annually honors the thousands of men and women who respond to emergency calls, dispatch emergency professionals and equipment, and render life-saving assistance to citizens, residents, and visitors to the city of Glendale. Now, therefore, I, Ellen Asatrian, Mayor of the City of Glendale, do hereby proclaim April 14 through 20, 2024 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Glendale, and congratulate the dedicated and hardworking members of the Glendale Police Department and Verdugo Fire Communication Center for their ongoing outstanding service rendered to the community. I had gotten a note that it's supposed to be Chief Fish and Jason
Garrett.
Garrett. What about our police department?
No, this is just the fire.
Just them,
This-
okay.
And they're actually represented right here.
Wonderful. Okay, just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anyone. Welcome, and thank you for your service. If you'd like, say a few words, and then have my colleagues.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council and staff. My name is Jason Garrett, and I'm the Verdugo Fire Manager, assisting in charge of Verdugo Fire Communications. I'm here representing my dispatchers as well as Glendale Police Department. This week is an honor and a tribute of all the hard work and dedication that they give to the citizens of Glendale and the 12 other cities that we at Verdugo dispatch for fire and EMS. Every day they come to work and they give their blood, sweat, and tears to make sure the city is safe, and they're that first responder. So thank you for this accommodation.
Do any of my colleagues have any comments you'd like to?
Just wanted to say thank you. We are very proud and grateful for the work that you do in helping keep our city safe. So thank you and congratulations on this commendation.
I'll just say that I've visited the center. The amount of multitasking that is involved on every single call is incredible. I also recognize the intense pressure you're under when getting those calls. One of the things that we had talked about during my visit was making sure that there was kind of a closeout during emergencies and calls that you receive that may feel like, you know, whether there was a child involved or a possible death threat or a rape threat, and making sure that you're also receiving the mental health services that you need, because we do recognize that the kind of pressure you're under and what you're dealing with on a daily basis is something that I think takes very special training and a lot of compassion and an understanding. And so thank you for your service. I am going to come down. If any of my colleagues want to join, you're always welcome.
You want us all down? No, you do it. You do it.
Who am I giving it to? All right.
You can just present it to, there you go.
Thank you again. Next item.
The next item is the proclamation designating April 2024 as Armenian Genocide and Armenian Heritage Month.
We have representatives from the Genocide Commemoration Committee that will be receiving the proclamation. So I'd like to call up those that are present. I believe we have Savannah Zadorian from Glendale Library and Arts Culture Commission, Alex Theater, Gallus, the Armenian Relief Society, Armenian Council of America, the ANCA, City of Glendale Human Resources, and anybody else that's part of the committee. If you're here, please come up. Before I go on with reading the proclamation, I did want to make a note that I made the proclamation really long this year, but I also recognize when I received the proclamation that somewhere down the line, we used to do annual resolutions for the Armenian genocide. I don't know why things have, changed, and it's just a proclamation this year. But I wanted to make sure that the depth of what has occurred to the Armenian people are included, and it just couldn't be really summed up in what you would have in a regular proclamation. But what I would like to do before reading this is ask my colleagues if we can agendize to have a resolution that has certain calls to the Biden administration as well as Congress and anything else that you'd like to include in that. I think that some of the organizations in the past used to provide the language for the resolutions, but again, I just want to make sure we're, it didn't happen just 1 year and then somehow we just kind of continued on and turned it into a proclamation. So I'm only going to read parts of it because it's really long. Whereas the Armenian people were victims of a systematic and premeditated genocide in their ancestral homeland, which began on April 24, 1915, at the hands of the Ottoman Turkish government from 1915 to 1919, and which continued at the hands of the Kemalist government of Republic of Turkey from 1920 to 1923, whereby more than 1.5 million Armenian men, women, children, and elderly were slaughtered or marched to their deaths in an effort to annihilate the Armenian nation, while thousands of surviving Armenians were forcibly converted and Islamicized, and hundreds of thousands more were subjected to ethnic cleansing during the period of modern Republic of Turkey from 1924 to 1937, whereas the international crimes against humanity resulted in the permanent removal of all traces of Armenians and other targeted peoples from their ancestral historical homelands, implementing a strategic and a strategy of deliberate and ongoing erasure, the perpetrators with the lands and confiscation of other properties of the victims, including several thousand churches. Whereas on September 27, 2020, Azerbaijan, backed by Turkey, launched an unprovoked attack on Armenia and Artsakh with large caliber weapons and thousands of mercenaries recruited from Syria, targeting not only military personnel, but civilian populated centers, schools, churches, hospitals, and forests, while killing and injuring women, children, the elderly, and journalists in violation of international law, thereby committing war crimes. And despite Azerbaijan's obligations under the Geneva Convention and its commitment in signing the ceasefire statement of November 9, Azerbaijan continued to detain approximately 200 Armenian POWs and civilian hostages, some of whom have been tortured and beheaded, per Human Rights Watch reports and independent international media. Whereas on September 19, 2023, after more than 9 months of illegal blockade of Artsakh, Azerbaijan launched a full-scale invasion which devastated civilian infrastructure such as hospitals, schools, and homes, claiming the lives of countless civilians, forcing the ethnic cleansing of more than 100,000 ethnic Armenians of Artsakh. Whereas in the aftermath of Azerbaijan's ethnic cleansing of Artsakh, it has illegally held Artsakh's political and military leadership hostage, as well as dozens of civilian dozens of civilian where they face fabricated charges in Azerbaijan's corrupt judicial system. Whereas Armenians, despite having endured all of these atrocities and more, have demonstrated their remarkable resilience and determination to persevere against all odds. Whereas Glendale is home to one of the largest Armenian American populations per capita in the diaspora, and Armenians living in Glendale have enriched our city through their leadership and contribution in business, academia, government, the arts, and every sector. And whereas we appreciate the efforts of the volunteers in organizing the City of Glendale's annual Armenian Genocide commemorative event on April 21st and organizing the Week of Remembrance and encouraging the community to support and actively participate in the scheduled Week of Remembrance events. Now, therefore, I, Ellen Asatrian, Mayor of the City of Glendale, proclaim the month of April 24 as Armenian Heritage Month, April 24, 2024, as a day of commemoration of the 109th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, and April 20th through April 26th as the Week of Remembrance. And in doing so, also request that the City of Glendale adopt an official resolution and submit letters calling upon Congress and the U.S. President to immediately provide 700 million in humanitarian aid to more than the 150,000 Armenians forcibly displaced as a result of Azerbaijan's genocidal campaign against the Armenians of Artsakh. Ensure the right of return for all who were forcibly displaced by Azerbaijan's aggression since September 27, 2020. Engage with Azerbaijani authorities for the immediate return of Armenian POWs and work towards equitable, constructive, stable, and durable Armenian-Turkish and Armenian-Azerbaijan relations based upon only the Republic of Turkey's and Republic of Azerbaijan's full acknowledgements of the facts and ongoing consequences of the Armenian genocide, and a fair, just, and comprehensive international resolution of this crime against humanity, including reparations to the Armenian nation. Signed, Mayor Elena Satarian. Sorry, it was very long, but there was more in there, and I just tried to pick and choose which ones. I wanted to take this moment to thank the committee who's been working very hard on putting together the Week of Remembrance. We've had an amazing group. I want to also take this opportunity to thank Stephanie from our staff who's been leading the committee, who's done an incredible job in putting all the pieces together. I'd like to invite members of the committee if you'd like to say anything, and then I know that Stephanie will be sharing what events we have coming up.
Madam Mayor, City Council members, City Manager, thank you so much for your enduring and unwavering support of the Armenian American community in the city of Glendale. I'm sure I speak on behalf of my community, on behalf of my committee, in saying that there is nothing more important for us as Armenian Americans, as citizens of this great country, to hear government officials speak openly and proudly about the Armenian American contributions to our society, and to hear them condemn the acts of genocide, the human rights violations perpetrated both historically and in the present day by the Republic of Turkey and by Azerbaijan. On behalf of the committee, I think I would like to also thank the city of Glendale for giving us the opportunity to present the facts of the Armenian genocide to the community, the Armenian culture, and our participation in the fabric of this great nation. Thank you again very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, members of the dais. I wanted to read off a few of the events that we have planned for the Week of Remembrance. Thank you for having us this evening, and thank you to the members of the committee that have joined behind me. Starting off on this Saturday at 11 a.m., we will have a reading and book signing on Artsakh Avenue with Astrid Kamalyan, author of Babo. Later that evening, in partnership with the Reflect Space, we will have the before and after reflections on Armenian genocide at the Reflect Space Art Gallery at 6:30 p.m. On Sunday is our main event at the Alex Theater at 4 p.m. It's the City of Glendale's 23rd Annual Armenian Genocide Commemorative Event. On Thursday, the 25th at 7 p.m., we will have a poetry event named Poets Against Genocide, led by our Glendale Poet Laureate, Rafi Joe Artanyan, at the Center of Armenian Arts. And on Friday, the 26th at 7 p.m., we will have a film screening of Songs of Solomon and discussion with the producer, Asko Akopyan. All of these events can be found on the city's website at glendaleca.gov/AGCE. Thank you very much.
I also recognize that we have representatives from the Armenian Genocide Commemorative Committee, Oshin Harutyunyan, who is also the chair of the Armenian National Committee of America's Western Region, as well as Krikor, who's co-chair. I believe you guys are co-chairing the committee together. If you want to come up and just talk about the main event that's being organized.
Hi again. Apologies for the double dipping. Dear Madam Mayor, City Council members, the Armenian Genocide Committee, which is a broad coalition of the leading religious, political, youth, social, charitable, athletic organizations of the Armenian American community of Southern California, cordially invites you invites your attendance and active participation in this year's Armenian Genocide commemorations. This year's events are set to be significant, including an in-person commemoration at Departure Plaza at Glendale City Hall on April 24 at 4:30 p.m. We are honored to host Professor Irene Massimino, a distinguished law professor and co-founder of the Lemkin Institute for Genocide Prevention, as our keynote speaker. Additionally, we will present a pre-produced 1-hour video program to be streamed online on April 24 via the Armenian Genocide Committee website and on various social media platforms. As you all know, and as the Madam Mayor had reiterated in the proclamation, commemorating the Armenian Genocide holds immense importance for numerous reasons. At its core, commemorating the genocide serves as a powerful reminder of human cruelty, urging us all to prevent such tragedies from happening again. Remembering the genocide is crucial to honoring the victims' memory, ensuring their suffering is never forgotten, and providing comfort to their descendants, such as myself. Unfortunately, this year's commemoration follows the 280-plus day genocidal blockade of Artsakh by Azerbaijan, beginning on December 12, 2022, along with the subsequent ethnic cleansing of indigenous Armenian communities from their ancestral homelands in Artsakh. These events underscore the ongoing relevance of our commitment to preventing such horrors from being repeated. Your gracious participation would be deeply appreciated by our community. Thank you. And I have here the invitation as well.
Before we go down for a photo, would my colleagues like to make any comments?
If I may, I wanted to note that all of the events that were discussed this evening are free and open to the public, if that was not previously noted.
Good.
No. No?
All right. I'll just come down for a photo if you'd like to join.
Sure.
Please. What's next?
Next are consent items, including minutes. The following are routine and may be acted upon by one motion. Any member of council or the audience requesting separate consideration may do so by making such request before motion is proposed. Mayor Asatryan, I have a speaker card for item 4B. I've also received correspondence from an individual regarding pulling item E as well, for E.
For E?
Yes, so it's 4B and 4E.
I'd like to pull 4A as well.
Okay.
Would one of my colleagues like to move the
I'll move the balance.
Okay, and I'll second that.
roll call?
Should I
call?
call? Yeah. Council members Brotman,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Kasakian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Mayor Asatryan.
Yes. All right, so we'll take 4A first.
4A, City Clerk regarding minutes of the joint City Council and Housing Special City Council and regular City Council meetings of April 2nd, 2024.
So who prepared these minutes?
My office.
Okay. Did someone review them after they were prepared? Who
Yes,
would that person be?
that would be me.
I mean, it was a pretty crazy meeting last week. A lot of issues raised, a lot of speakers, and we came down to the vote for the mayor. Why isn't my vote registered in the vote for mayor? Was that intentional or an oversight? I mean, it was kind of a big thing, you know, who's voting for mayor, and my name is left off.
My apologies, I would have to look at the minutes once more and rectify that.
Right. Well, I would move that we amend the minutes to reflect that I did vote on the mayor's selection and that I did vote for myself.
Okay.
Noted.
I think someone can make that motion.
Yeah.
I'll move to amend with that change.
Second?
Roll call?
Council members Brotman,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Kasakian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Mayor Asatryan.
Yes. Next item?
Next item is item B, Public Works, regarding award of professional services agreement for professional engineering services for Colorado Street Multimodal Improvements Project. 1, motion authorizing the city manager or designee to enter into and execute a PSA with Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc. to provide professional engineering services for the Colorado Street Multimodal Improvements Project in the amount of $842,680. 2, motion executing a change order to contract 8001367 with Elencore Balco Electric, Inc. for fiber optic upgrades, increasing the contract amount by $350,000 and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the contract change order. And I
Staff
have-
like to give just a brief background on this, and then we'll take
We
the,
can, Mayor Asatryan, if that's your desire.
why don't we hear the speaker first, and then based on that.
Our speaker is Ellen Durham.
Hi, Mayor Satrian, members of the council. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Alan Durham. It's really a question for clarification more than a comment. As everyone knows, Metro is going to be implementing the Bus Rapid Transit Project, which is going to be coming through Glendale, otherwise known as the BRT. And my understanding is that's going to be coming from Eagle Rock on Colorado Boulevard, west through Glendale, all the way to Central before it goes north. And I believe the BRT reconfiguration of Colorado will result in the loss of several traffic lanes. So it's obviously, you know, a huge project for Colorado Boulevard.
It's not on Colorado in Glendale.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, that was my confusion because I wondered how this dovetailed with BRT. But does it, Councilmember Brotman?
So, yeah, sorry, I kind of jumped in here, but it's running on Broadway.
Oh, Broadway. Okay. Well, that was my mistake. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else? All right, so can we have,
Roll call. Is there a motion?
Well, I'll move the item.
oh, that's right.
It was already moved?
No, I moved the item.
Divine.
Roll call?
Council members Brotman,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Kasakian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Mayor Asatryan.
Yes. Next item?
Next item is E, Public Works, regarding adoption specification for weed control services. 1, resolution adopting specification number 3983 for weed control services and directing the city clerk to advertise for bids. We don't have a caller as of now. The person would have called, but they haven't called yet, so, for this item.
All right.
Okay, in that case, I'll move the item.
Move the item. Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Council members Brotman,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Kasakian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Mayor Asatryan.
Yes. What's next?
Next are city council and staff comments.
Would like to go first?
You have anything? Okay.
If
Thank
I
you.
may, Councilmember Devine wanted to make her outgoing comments now during her council comments.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Well, this is my last hurrah. So I thought I would give you a little bit of a history lesson. Won't be long. You know, I was a teacher, so I've learned to be succinct and brief. So hopefully it'll only be about 20 minutes. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. After my retirement from teaching, my service moved to the whole world of volunteerism. And then in 2014, my passion for service expanded to all of the residents of Glendale, all of you, with the issues that you face every day, from potholes to parks to overdevelopment and affordable housing. Being on council has been an extraordinary experience, which has allowed me to represent the city locally and globally. My goals through the years, what I felt was my responsibility, was to continue the teamwork and the synergistic approach to policy making that has been the basis for success under leadership of previous councils. In the 10 years, I have experienced many ups and downs. However, it has been a very productive 10 years, I think. Council has worked very hard to make the best decisions for our fantastic city. I want to thank all of my former colleagues for the successful 10 years I have served, the teamwork, the flexibility, and the appreciation for others, which were very important elements for us. I will begin with my history lesson. I actually started in the city 8 years before I ran for council. I served on the Commission on the Status of Women. And there are two particularly important moments and items from that commission that I'm very proud of. The first one is the Commission Project Rescue. And that was something that I brought to the commission in which we created a fund for the Glendale Police Department for domestic violence victims when shelters were not available. And the police department would call me and say, we don't have any place to put this woman and her family. What should we do? And so I created a fund with the commission's, of course, approval. And so the fund is for lodging for victims, for food, shelter, and for support. And the second proud accomplishment there that we all did together was the signing of CEDAW, and that is the Convention to End Discrimination Against Women. It is a worldwide document signed by countries and cities all over the world, and I know Councilmember Najarian was there when Council approved the signing of that. It was instituted at the United Nations. So I'm very proud of those. Stepping down from the commission, my friends encouraged me to step up to council, knowing I was a person who would listen to the residents, make the best decisions I could for the city, and knowing that I had no agenda for future political status. The city was my major concern. With support from Senator Carol Liu, former Mayor Eileen Gibbons, I took the plunge. I was elected 3 times, finished first every time, which I'm pretty proud of, and I thank every person out there that voted for me in all those 3 campaigns. So thus began my journey. Recently, I was purging all the paperwork from 10 years, and I found a notebook from 2014 containing notes to self. First one, think like a teacher. Think like a teacher. So I wondered about that, and I think I've done that. Try to do the best, try to be brief, try to be to the point, try to educate. I'd ask myself, number 2, ask myself, what would you want as a resident? What would you want council to do? And lastly, listen to everyone and respond to everyone. So my philosophy through the years has been the role of government is to make the lives of people better. And I've tried to govern by that adage. Some of my proudest achievements, and here we go, I could not have done, of course, without my colleagues through the years. And I just selected a few that I thought were symbolic of my passion, serving the community, making your lives better. The first that I'm going to mention, and it's been mentioned before, was Shane's Inspiration All-Inclusive Park, which is at Maple. I brought, Nora Yakubian brought that to me. She said, why don't we do a park like this? And I said, I think it's a fabulous idea. I was mayor at the time. We have it at Maple. It's for children of all abilities to play together and to learn and accept their differences. The second, one of my most popular, or the one that I'm proudest of, was the Cherry Blossom Festival. And when I was mayor, a group from Japan came over, and we went out to the Japanese teak house at the Brand Park. And they were looking at it, and they said, well, this is kind of shabby, and it's worn out. And so we decided, with the city, with, I think it was with ONIG, that we should work with the Soshion Foundation to renovate the Japanese tea house. And that led to a whole crew of Japanese landscapers coming over and redoing the park, the gardens there. So it was a really good relationship. And I said, well, why don't we do a cherry blossom festival? A lot of cities do it in Japan, and they thought it was a fabulous idea. Well, thanks to staff, we have just celebrated the 5th anniversary of the Cherry Blossom Festival, and people come from far and wide to that wonderful event, and I'm so proud that we established that. On environmental issues, I introduced the item regarding battery-operated leaf blowers. This has led to the electrification of our parks landscape equipment and the city being named the largest green zone in the country. And soon, and this is good news for all of you out there, soon you will benefit from this ordinance, which will ban gas-powered leaf blowers in our city. You will not have to tolerate the emissions or the noise. The ban will take effect soon, I think in the beginning of the year, and because education and outreach has already begun. Second, I also initiated the elimination of single-use plastics, starting in the utensils, starting in the city and extending citywide. And third, proud to have approved with my fellow council members the Grayson Repower Plant and Shoal Canyon Biogas projects, which will provide clean and reliable energy to our residents in many years to come. In 2019, I read an article about Santa Monica and how they had a housing subsidy program for low-income, disabled, and Glendale seniors. And I brought that to council, proposed it to the council. They thought it was a great idea. This program was approved in 2019 using Measure S funding. Originally planned as a 2-year program, it was extended by council and is now winding down. I'm putting you all on alert. Applicants receive $300 in subsidy every year. I don't know if all the renters in our city know this. A total of 1,200 applicants received assistance, and a total of over $10 million in subsidy assistance was provided. We had an incidents with the Parkway Ordinance. And this ordinance was pitting neighbor against neighbor because it was complaint-driven. And if a neighbor got angry with their neighbor, they would report them. And we thought that the council felt that that was not fair. I brought it to council. We approved the ordinance to be tweaked. We changed it. We created a more flexible ordinance, and it seems to be holding. Finally, another one is I initiated with the Glendale Police Department the $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest, conviction of hit-and-run drivers in Glendale, an incentive which could lead to arrests. That came to me from a gentleman who lost his son in a hit-and-run accident. And council agreed that, that we should offer that reward. I haven't asked the chief, but I hope we still have that going. I think it's still on the books, and hopefully it's helping. I want to thank our Councilmember Najarian, because he's the only one I think that was here when I was nominated or appointed to the Airport Authority. That was like 6 years ago. And I want to thank all the council members that were in on that, because that was a real joy working with the Hollywood Burbank Airport on the replacement terminal. There was so much teamwork and good ideas, great people, representatives on that authority, commissioners. A lot of you voted on what architecture you wanted in the new airport, and in a couple of years, it's going to come to fruition. I also brought to council a senior services task force, which will encourage support systems and education for our seniors, bringing together organizations, hospitals, who will provide necessary education outreach to seniors. One of the, I don't know if any of you in this room remember the Christmas trolley. Does anybody remember that? Thank you. I brought the idea of a Christmas trolley to council, and we had it for 1 year. It went from Mountain down to the Americana, around the corner, and past the Galleria. And it brought thousands of people down to for shopping and dining. But it was more than that. It was a way for the community to get together and meet each other. It's kind of like strangers on the bus. And I remember one time I was on the bus, and there was a group of Africans, not African Americans, Africans walking. We picked them up because they didn't know where they were going. We picked them up and we got to know them. They were visiting from Africa and they wanted to go to the Americana. So it was a really joyous project. That lasted only 1 year, putting you all on alert. Affordable housing, there have been 9 projects during my 10 years on council. So hundreds of units have been built and are being built for seniors and families of low income and disabilities. The Armenian American Museum project, to sign that MOU for that project I was so proud. Joining my colleagues, we were all very, very happy to do that. And as you can see, as you drive down Colorado, the work is being done. The project's going to come to fruition sooner than we thought, I think. And don't forget about the terrific newly designed Central Park that will be down there. It's going to be a jewel in the community. I also want to thank the Filipino-American FABAG for the Friendship Monument, because they rushed that through during my mayorship so that I would be the one to cut the ribbon. And I was so happy about that, so I thank them. Finally, and this is so important to me, as we all know, the relationship between our Japanese and Korean friends has been a strained one because of the Comfort Women's statue. Attempts at bringing them together have failed through the years, and we've been trying. Well, recently I was asked to arrange a meeting between the two parties in an attempt to build a bridge of communication and to end the animosity between the two entities. The meeting took place, and I can proudly say that a firm step was taken in forming a more amicable friendship between the Japanese and the Korean factions. I can only hope that future councils will build on that first step to continue to bring the two together. I personally want to thank Chang Lee and the Deputy Consul General of Japan for the willingness to take that step. It was a bold one. Councilmember Najarian called me Henry Kissinger. Chang Lee called me an ambassador. But I was just happy to do this. It was terrific to be the one that they asked to end this. So anyway, I think that was a great way of ending my 10-year service, bringing the community together. My hope is that you can see that all of these projects that I'm mentioning were to benefit our residents. My goal was to make the lives of people better. I hope I've done that. I want to thank my colleagues through the years who have made all of these possible, and staff who brought it all to fruition. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. Finally, To the community, to the resident, okay, maybe I'll get a drink of water. I'm winding down. To the community and the residents, make your voices heard. You matter, and after all, council is here to make decisions that will impact your lives. So show up and fight for what you think is right. Okay. To staff, keep working hard as always, and don't let anyone tell you that you are not the best, because you are the best. You've been doing more for less for years. You deserve appreciation and respect from everyone, including this council. To the council, my final words to you, to all of you. I want to say congratulations to Vartan, Garpetian, because he'll be joining them. Be thoughtful in your decision-making. Remember, it is about our residents and not ourselves and not anybody else. Be fiscally responsible, as we have to maintain a sustainable city. Be fair to all and listen to all sides. Your decisions will impact many. And on a personal note, remember this. It is nice to be important, but it is more important to be nice. So, saying that, I say be nice to our community, those who come before you. Be nice to staff who do their best to make our city run, and be nice to each other, for that is the only way you can accomplish great things. Through cooperation, not division, through kindness, not anger, through thoughtfulness and not thoughtlessness. It's been an honor and a privilege. Took a village. And my thanks to all in the village. Out. Thank you. And with that, I will say good night and good evening and goodbye. No, I'm not staying for the, I will explain to my colleagues, I did not know that the turnover was at 8 o'clock, so I'm not prepared to stay. So thank you all very much, and good night.
Do any of my colleagues have?
Well, as council, is this on? As Councilmember Devine exits the chambers, I want to thank her for her service. I apologize for not being able to attend her ceremony, her farewell ceremony at City Hall. Unfortunately, my son was homesick with a cold, and it was in the middle of the day, so I wasn't able to join staff and members of the community for thanking her. But I want to use this opportunity while she's still here to say thank you, Councilmember Devine, for your service, and wishing you the best of luck in whatever the future brings to you. Glendale is better off for your service to the city. Thank you.
Well, as she's winding her way out, I don't think she's listening to us. But yeah, I did make comments at her going away party, so I won't repeat them here. But just to say thank you, and I'm sure we'll be seeing Paula. She's not disappearing quite yet.
Yeah, thank you, Paula. You've been a great colleague, and I wish you weren't going.
I have a note that a member of the public would also like to thank Councilmember Devine. Is there a card?
There's a call.
Oh, please, okay.
We have Fernando Roldan who'd like to make a comment. Could they make a comment at this moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Madam.
Mr. Roldan, you're on air. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Madam Mayor and members of the council, thank you very much. I was hoping to say thank you to Councilwoman Devine, because a couple of years ago, I asked for a meeting with her regarding some issues regarding disability here in Glendale, and of course, being affected the sidewalks were some of the major issues that we were going on. As an example, first, the sidewalk on Columbus Avenue behind the Galleria, close to Hawthorne, was a complete mess. Thanks to her, she was able to fix it and all. And and we also had an extensive, long meeting regarding housing, transportation, whatnot. And she stood up for me, and a lot of us were disabled, and I really am truly grateful for that. And I do ask the council and the mayor, listen to what she said, listen to her by listening to some of us, and I really am truly grateful for her leadership role, and I hope many people like Councilwoman Devine be an example here in the city of Glendale, and especially for many young women in our high schools and college. Thank you.
Thank you. Do my colleagues have other comments, or because this was council comment section?
I just want to mention a few things. First was Glendale Dodger Night was last week. It was a great evening to watch the Dodgers take on the Padres. Unfortunately, they didn't pull off the win. But the good news is, thanks to the ticket sales, I think close to $9,000 or perhaps over $9,000 was raised for the Glendale Parks and Open Space Foundation. I can't remember which consecutive year this is that we're doing Glendale Dodger Night, but it's become a wonderful tradition. So thanks for all who came out and supported both the boys in blue, the Dodgers, that is. I know their police chief was there as well. But the Dodgers, as well as the city of Glendale and Parks. There was also an event that I had an opportunity to attend called Armat. It was a day of Armenian culture and presentations, song, dance, food, music. And it was held at the Pacific Edison Park. It was interesting. We had a beautiful week, and then right when the weekend came, clouds and rain, so a lot of events had to move indoors. But this was organized, I believe, by Arts and Library Arts and Culture, and it was a great way of celebrating Armenian heritage, and it was for everyone. It wasn't just, you didn't have to be Armenian to really appreciate it. Actually, there was a lot there for everyone to learn about Armenian culture and traditions. Lastly, To Be Happy is a nonprofit that organized their first event to help families with members who have autism, individuals who have autism. It was an all-inclusive event that was hosted at the Armenian Society of Los Angeles. Thank you for hosting that at the last minute. And hopefully we'll be hearing more about this organization, which helps not only young people with autism here in the United States, but is also helping families in Armenia and those displaced from Artsakh who have members of their family who have autism as well. So congratulations to the To Be Happy group as well. Again, once more, a lot of great things happening in our community and a reflection of the great people and organizations that make up Glendale. Thank you.
I have a few. Earth Day is April 22nd, Monday, and as a member of the Metro Board and on the MetroLink Board, both of our boards have decided to make all transportation on that day totally free. So the MetroLink trains, which pass by Glendale, will take you to Union Station and connect you to the hub that goes to our 5 counties, including San Diego. And the metro system, as you know, are all our buses and our metro rails, which will take you basically anywhere in the county. So those are all free, and take some transit and save Mother Earth on April 22nd. Next, I'd like to ask the city manager, I don't want this to be an agenda item. I don't want it to come to us. You can share the information. But I'd like to know if there ever was a time that time limits were placed on a council member to make comments. Last meeting, I had a 10-minute restriction to speak, and I don't recall that ever happening before. I might be wrong, but I'd like you to look that up as well. The other request is, I'd like to know when if ever, before, a council member was prevented from asking the city manager a question during deliberations. and instructed not to answer by a city attorney. Maybe it's happened before. I don't think it has. I just want to know if we're setting a precedent. We should realize what's going on here. Lastly, as you know, last week in our last meeting, the attorney representing me, Alexander Najarian, ended his comments with, "We'll see you in court." And he was referring to violations of some constitutional rights. The city has taken that serious enough to place it on a closed session agenda. Others, they believe that I'm serious. So I did send a letter to everyone on the dais, to the city attorney, to the city clerk, but I'd like to lodge this in the official city record. Basically, it's a letter claiming that I now have whistleblower status. A whistleblower is someone who reports and alleges a violation of federal, state, or local law. And there are protections to those people, and you've heard these cases before, but it also applies to a city council member. The key is that there cannot be any retaliation against me for blowing that whistle, for alleging a violation of law, and if there is any, it is a criminal misdemeanor under the California Labor Code. Now, I'm not saying that has happened. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just to be sure, I want this to be on the official record. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Najarian. All right, I have a couple of housekeeping items, but before that, also joined the Dodgers game. Ascensia also had its 16th anniversary gala. I know Councilmember Kasakian and I were there. Speaking of Earth Day, the City of Glendale is organizing an Earth Day fair Saturday, April 20th, 11 to 3 p.m. at Verdugo Park. Please bring your kids, your families. As it pertains to some housekeeping items, for the time being, I will be reinstating back the public's opportunity to give up their 5 minutes at the end of the meeting and instead speak for 3 minutes during the community announcements portion before we move forward with the city's business. As it was before last year, a total of 5 speakers will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes during the community announcements events portion about community events or any topic of their choice. I have also asked our city clerk for her to be the one to just read off the names. I'm looking at ways to make these meetings more efficient. And so for each of the items moving forward, we are going to take the last card at the end of the first speaker, and it'll be on a first come, first basis. So if you have any cards you'd like to submit or you want to call in, that would be the time frame. And then lastly, I would like to agendize reviewing our oral communications and code of conduct policies at a future meeting. I spent the last 2 weeks looking at different systems other cities have in place. Some have oral communication all in one block before the business items. Some have 1 minute and 3 minute cards. And I'd love the opportunity for us to discuss that and the code of conduct for our city meetings. That's all I have. Next item.
Councilmember Asatrian, we have a member of the public who would like to make a comment about Councilmember Devine leaving.
That'll have to be now as part of oral communication. So if they submitted a card, so the first 5 cards, whether it's oral communication or community events, they're able to do that at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
So next item?
Next item is, community event announcements, which includes what Councilmember Asatrian.
Yes. So Mr. Mohill, community events now will also allow oral communication? That item is agendized for 8 p.m., so you can either use the oral communication section, or you can wait until the 8 p.m. for the outgoing comments portion in the next meeting, so. Correct.
However, and if I may, Madam Mayor.
You have to give up your 5 minutes in order to, yes, of course.
But our cards don't indicate if I put in a white card.
Mr. Mohel, would you like to submit a pink card for this? Okay.
Why don't you come up and speak, and then you can fill out the card after, Mr. Mohel. Thank you. Come on up. Yes. Yes. We'll get the hang of it. Thank you.
Where's Paula? Is she in the room? Did she take off?
She took off.
You bet. Okay. Good evening, council members. My name is Mike Mohill. Adios, Dan. Oh, what happened to Dan Brotman? He leave already? Oh, the boys' room. Couldn't wait. I get you. Okay. This is my speech I was going to give last week. I was here and I was cut off. Tonight, which is April 2, we ended the era of the dictator Mayor Dan Brotman. His time in office was one of contentious meetings between himself and the public. I learned years ago that there was 9 ways to skin a cat, and it seems that Dan Brotman could never find one. Or did he? Last year in April, at the Armenian Genocide event at the Alex Theater, he had the audacity to compare the annihilation of 1.5 million Christian Armenians from their ancestral homeland with sundown laws, slavery, and the Tonkawa Indians that Mrs. always talks about, who are early settlers on the land we call Glendale today. Then he brought up the Jewish Holocaust. He only mentions his Jewishness for political purposes. About 90 days later, at the June 6, 2023 council meeting, he changed the 3-minute community announcement meeting, which oral communication was for the past 10 years, since Paula Devine was here, at the end of council business. Mayor Brotman did this to silence his council critics. As a result, he earned the nickname, the Dictator of Glendale. In the future, council critics would have to wait as late as 10:30 or 12 o'clock at night to address the city council. Tonight ends the era of Councilwoman Paula Devine, who will be fondly remembered for her sensitivity to others. I just feel the political climate is not my liking, she said as one of her parting words. In 2016, Councilwoman Paula Devine became the new mayor. The hat lady, Margaret Hammond, was already in her 80s and found it difficult to drive in the dark. So new Mayor Paula Devine changed the 5 minutes portion of oral communication to the beginning of council meetings with community announcements. Devine stated speakers would be allowed only 3 minutes, and only the first 5 speakers would be allowed to address the council. Council members and the general public, Paula Devine knows how to skin a cat, and today gets the respect from all Glendalians. I want to thank Paula for that. Thank you.
Mayor Asatrian, we have one caller for this portion. Ara Manukian. Ara, you're on air. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, City Council, staff. My name is Ara Manukian, and yesterday I spoke at the end of the City Council meeting regarding a very serious issue that the community needs to know about. Prior to the shameful vote for mayor that we saw last week, I had brought to the attention of City Council and staff, including the city attorney and the city manager and so on, that we wanted to warn them of Mayor, who is now Mayor Asadarian, and how she has in the past caused irreparable damage to the Armenian community during the 2020 conflict. Since 2016, I've been working along with other people to try to get an arms embargo enforced, which Azerbaijan has, and we know that Israel has been the main supplier of weapons to Azerbaijan, and that resulted in the loss that we recently had in Artsakh. In 2020, at the middle of the conflict, there was a special meeting held in which we presented a petition to be circulated to the community to put pressure on Israel to stop an arming Azerbaijan. And sadly, Mayor Asadurian showed up and discouraged people from doing that. And she did that under the direction of Zadie Sinanyan, who's the former mayor of Glendale, claiming that they were negotiating with Israel to stop arms. And if we should protest Israelis, then we will lose that support and foul the work that they were trying to do. Subsequently, as we know, the arms continue to flow. Our petition failed, and this is a testament to who Elin Asadurian is. And 2016, when she was with the ANCA, I had appealed to the ANCA to help bring this issue to light. And again, she failed at that time. So I just want to put people on notice, especially those in the Armenian community, to know who Elin Asadurian really is, and to be very careful of what she is going to supposedly do, which is for the betterment of the city of Glendale, which I don't believe she is actually capable of, since she seems to be a puppet for many people. So, and I want to be very clear that the shameful vote that took place, all the city council members were aware of these facts prior to voting for her. Thank you very much.
Do we have any more cards? Or
We have no
flowers?
more comments for this section.
Okay, next item.
Next is adoption of ordinances. My apologies, action items. Police Department regarding request to dispense with competitive bidding for the purchase of a new helicopter from MD Helicopters, Inc. to replace Police Joint Air Support Unit MD-520N helicopter N102CG. One, resolution to dispense with competitive bidding and authorize the city manager or his designee to render an agreement with MD Helicopters, Inc. for the purchase of a new MD-530F helicopter. Two, resolution of appropriation.
Do we have a report?
Yes, Mayor Asadurian, members of City Council, I'm going to invite Lieutenant Robert William to make the presentation on the purchase of this new helicopter for your consideration.
Thank you. And then just as a reminder, if anyone wants to speak specifically to this item, please submit your speaker card. The last one that we'll take, along with calls, will be after the first speaker.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Asadurian, members of City Council. My name is Captain Robert William, and on behalf of Chief Sid and the Glendale Police Department, I'm going to do a brief presentation on this item. To begin, the Glendale Police Department's Air Support Program has been in existence for a little over 50 years. And about the last 30 years of that, we've been working closely as a partnership with Burbank Police Department. However, that partnership became formal in 2007 when we became the Joint Air Support Unit. And at that time, the Joint Air Support Unit, between the City of Glendale and City of Burbank, we split all assets and costs 50-50. I'm joined here tonight by Chief Sid, as well as some of the leadership of our Joint Air Support Unit, including Captain Adam Cornelius from Burbank Police Department. I appreciate his time and his availability to be here. Can we go to the next slide? Just briefly on our Joint Air Support Unit and our mission. To begin with, officer safety. Despite all the modern technology that we have, a police helicopter remains one of the most asked for resources by our officers to do their jobs safely. It's essential for high-risk operations, offering aerial support to ground units during pursuits, SWAT deployments, hostage situations, and just improving overall officer safety and operational success. Rapid response and mobility. Helicopters can quickly reach areas inaccessible by cars, crucial for immediate response to emergencies and natural disasters. Oftentimes, our helicopters are first on scene when they're up in the air. About 80% of the time, our helicopters are first to be on scene. Search and rescue operations, ideal for covering large areas in search and rescue missions, significantly increasing the chances of locating missing or injured persons in difficult terrains. Infrastructure security assessment. On almost every single flight, our crews do fly over critical infrastructure within the city. That includes the communication towers up on the mountaintops, as well as our power plant, the power plant, our police range up in the hillside, as well as some of the other infrastructures within the city. Event management and crime prevention provides a unique vantage point for monitoring large events, tracking suspects, and searching for missing persons, leading to safer and more efficient operations. And then finally, it's a force multiplier, acts as providing real-time information. Oftentimes, when our officers are conducting some sort of operation, say in the canyons of Chevy Chase or Glen Oaks, a lot of times, in today's era, when you hear the police chief talk a lot about being lean, the police helicopter pretty much takes the place of 10 to 15 police officers at a critical point where they can have the vantage point and be able to bring in officers and deal with the exit routes of what a suspect may potentially take. As I mentioned, we have a joint program with Burbank, and part of that, we have an MOU that guides us. All of our assets and costs are split equal, 50-50. Part of our MOU agreement is that we will maintain 3 helicopters. And then our depreciation schedule is set for 20 years or 15,000 hours, whichever comes first. We currently have 3 helicopters that we maintain. 2 of those helicopters have reached that point where they're ready to be replaced. In fact, one of them, quite frankly, is over that time. That's a 26-year helicopter that's ready to go. And then the second one, it's coming up to that point. It's about 18 years. We have about 2 more years left for that helicopter to be replaced as well. Can we go to the next slide, please? This is just an image to indicate the typical helicopters that are being used by police departments, LAPD, LASD, some of the fire departments as well. They typically use their Airbus H125 or the Bell 505. The helicopter we're looking to replace is the MD 530, which is the picture on the left. And this is just to demonstrate the size of the helicopter. In this presentation, there's a good chance we'll be talking about size of the helicopter and just an image to demonstrate the difference in what is out there in the market. Can we go to the next slide, please? The police department and the staff recommends dispensing with competitive bidding and going with MD helicopters. MD helicopters are the 3 helicopters that we use today. The helicopter that we're looking to replace, the 520N, we're looking to replace it with the 530F. What that essentially means is it's the same helicopter, it's the same cockpit. The only difference is a slight modification towards the tail boom of that helicopter. But otherwise, it's the current version of the helicopters that we're using. The current helicopters that we have has since been phased out by MD helicopters, and they're no longer in production. Part of the reason why we want to dispense with competitive bidding, as I mentioned before, our helicopters are primarily used for observational platform for police response to incidents. The MD helicopter, as I mentioned, is a smaller helicopter, which is ideal for our urban area. Some of the bigger helicopters that you see, LAPD or CHPUs, are bigger because they have a bigger jurisdiction to cover, and the fuel tanks are obviously a lot larger as well. While it's a smaller helicopter, it still allows us to do specialized operations, particularly with the fire department. As a matter of fact, just this week, we are working with our fire department to do some training in the hillsides to be able to locate some terrain that needs their attention as far as potential fire hazards. We do long line operations with the fire department, spotting for fire, as well as some light rescues with our helicopter. The other point, the safety standpoint of why we want to go with MD helicopters is that, as I mentioned, we have virtually been operating the same helicopters for the last 30 years. The the levers and the mechanism of how to fly these helicopters is the same. It's the same exact components, the same exact mechanical parts, the same tooling, the same mechanic gets to work on it day in and day out. This is the same helicopter that they're used to flying. In other words, there are some agencies that might have a mixed fleet of helicopters. We are against that because we want our pilots and our crews to be used to the same platform, and sometimes changing helicopters or having a mixed fleet could create some confusion. We have an excellent safety record with the helicopters we've flown. We've, knock on wood, we haven't had any issues with them. So we would like to continue with that. And I believe that's, let's go to the next page, please. The fiscal impact, the MD helicopters are worth $5 million, just a little over $5 million, and that is an entire package, including the tax, the sales tax, pilot training, and outfitting it. Part of the larger part of the cost is outfitting the helicopter to be used for police purposes. As I mentioned, we have a 50-50 split with the city of Burbank, so the total cost for Glendale will be about $2.5 million. And then once we receive the new helicopter, we will make arrangements to sell the old helicopter and take some of that profit and put it back into our replacement fund. And then as far as the operational costs to the helicopter, that price tag does not include the operational cost. That's something that we get every budget year. And with that, myself and Chief Sid are available to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation and explanation. I'm glad that we're making this investment, and I think it's important for us to keep up to date with our air support. We've certainly gotten our money's worth over the decades from the units that we have here already that we share as well with Burbank. In terms of the enhancements, which these helicopters have to be configured and have the additional equipment for police operational use, do you know what that difference is or how much that adds to the cost of the helicopter?
I believe it was in the ballpark of about $900,000, pretty close to $1 million of that is just the outfitting of the helicopter.
Yeah. And I spoke to the chief during a briefing about the cost of this, because when we were looking at it a few years ago, it was actually less than $5 million. In fact, there was an article about Huntington, I think it was Huntington Beach, didn't they? They purchased in 2022 3 of these units for a cost of $7 million after they lost, I guess, one of their units in a tragic accident crash. But it just goes to show, and I want folks in the community to understand how much the cost of everything is going up. And I think it's important for us to make this purchase now, because if we wait, who knows what the cost will be next year or the year after of these helicopter units. And in addition to that, given that a number of agencies already use these helicopters, can we also, I would like to ask staff and the department to look into what are the common components or parts that fail or perhaps wear out faster than others. I don't know anything about helicopter mechanics, but given supply chain issues, we've seen it in GWP with transformers. If we can pre-order these and have them handy for when things outlive their usefulness and they need to be replaced, I would encourage you to come back with a request for that as well.
Absolutely. Councilmember Kasakian, I'm kind of with you. I don't know much about helicopters, but we do rely on our air support supervisor who keeps daily logs and tracks those on a monthly basis. Sometimes he's ordering parts 2 years out because our mechanic crew also pay attention to those things. And there's certain parts to the helicopter need to be replaced just based on the number of hours that it hits. So we can anticipate when we're going to hit those hours.
All right, great. Because anyone who's had to have anything repaired over the last 3 years, from a washer and dryer to something on their automobile, can tell you that sometimes the waits can be excruciating because the refrain is always, oh, it's supply chain issues, or we're having trouble getting these parts from wherever they originate from. I would hate to see that happen and have one of our air units be grounded for an extended period of time. Thanks.
Thank you.
If I could. Thanks for the report. We, from time to time, get complaints about excessive noise from helicopters. We've gotten a few lately, but, you know, we get them periodically. Of course, people don't always know, and generally don't know, which of the helicopters in the air are ours, which are other agencies' helicopters, news helicopters. You know, there are many groups that are flying in our airspace. But I would like, not contingent on this vote today, but as a follow-up, I would like to know, get a report from the department on, you know, the frequency of our use of the helicopters, how long we're up there, you know, what kind of altitudes, what times a day, and how much of it is, you know, an active operation, how much of it is training, and maybe some other things. You mentioned, you know, fire, doing some work for the fire to look at possible brush conditions. So if we could get, I think the whole council would probably benefit from this, get a report with some good data, maybe over the last year or 2 years, on how this program is run. I think it'll help us understand, you know, these issues, and we can do a better job of explaining to people in the community what we are and aren't doing.
Thank you, Councilmember Brotman. Yes, that we are very well aware of some of the complaints. In fact, you know, we're very sensitive to that. Chief Sid is very responsive to those complaints, and in fact, so is our entire air support unit. So we do keep logs of every single flight, every single operation that we do, what kind of call services we respond to, how many hours we fly. We track those. We have quarterly reports as well as annual reports, so we'd be more than happy to provide those reports to you or to council.
Okay, and I'm not asking for a live report, but perhaps, you know, a memo that can get sent around to us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Did you have a question?
Couple questions. Are these helicopters suitable for high-speed pursuit?
Thank you for asking that question, Councilmember Najarian. Absolutely. We use these helicopters frequently for pursuits. In fact, we prefer to use the helicopters than to actually chase the vehicles ourselves. Oftentimes, when the helicopter is present, we call off the ground units and we allow the helicopter to follow the vehicle that we're pursuing. If they're able to oftentimes zoom in and get the license plate, if it's a license plate that we can work off of, then that's something that we'll follow up with at a later time. But if not, we do what's called kind of shadowing, where our ground units will follow in a safer manner to get to the vehicle. But absolutely, these helicopters are faster than cars, so they'll be able to stay with them.
There's some pretty fast cars out there.
And motorcycles, and we're able to pull it off.
And what kind of outfitting do you do? The infrared cameras and midnight sun, is that what you call it?
I think your guess is best as good as mine. I believe it is called Night Sun. It is a big spotlight that is used to illuminate during darkness, but oftentimes we don't really even rely on that technology as much because, as you mentioned, we do have infrared. And that, I can't tell you anecdotally how many times that's come in handy where we have officers in certain areas and the helicopter is able to detect that someone is hiding in bushes somewhere nearby them because it's picking up the body heat.
Thank you. I support the
Thank you.
program.
Great presentation. I fully support it. I believe we have one speaker, so we'll take that and then we'll move on with the item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our only speaker is Mike Mohill on this item.
Evening, council members. My name is Mike Mohill. I'd like to thank the Glendale Police Department for all the work they do. They don't get that thank you often enough. I remember about 4 years ago, the word in the city was Black Lives Matter and let's defund the goddamn police department. And what happened after that? Things have changed. 4 years. Okay? Now, because of the attitude in the city and hopefully in the country, new recruits will be coming back to Glendale because we need them to protect ourselves from burglaries, break-ins, you know it, you name it. Crime, it increased the last couple of years. Okay? Now, on some good notes, I was just talking with the Chief of Police, Manuel Sid. I said, hey, Chief, when are we going to have coffee with the cops again? Because I remember that a few years back. And when I asked him that question, I think about a year or two ago, how long it's been, he said, we don't have the time and the resources. Well, tonight he said to me, here's the announcement, that it's coming back. So I'm looking forward to have my time with coffee with the cops again. Thank you. Thank you, Chief Sid and the Glendale Police Department.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move the item. Sorry, I'll move the item.
Second?
Second.
All right, roll call.
Council members Brotman,
Yes.
Devine, Kasakian,
Yes.
Najarian.
Yes.
Mayor Asatryan.
Yes. Next item?
Next item is Human Resources regarding approval of First Amendment to the amended and restated City Attorney Employment Agreement with Michael J. Garcia to extend the term of the agreement and provide for salary adjustment, continued from April 2nd, 2024 council meeting. 1, motion approving First Amendment to the amended and restated City Attorney Employment Agreement. 2, resolution establishing classification titles and compensation for employees of the City of Glendale City Attorney.
All right. Do my colleagues have questions,
Madam Mayor,
comments?
will be
Mayor,
Yes, please. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Mayor Satrian, members of City Council, on September 2nd, 2011, then City Council approved Michael Garcia's, appointed Michael Garcia as the city attorney for the city of Glendale. And this report present a First Amendment to previously amended and restated city attorney employment agreement with Mr. Garcia to extend the term of the agreement until October 16, 2025, and provide for a proposed salary adjustment in the amount of $310,000 per year effective today. There is a motion attached for your approval, as well as a resolution establishing classification title for the city attorney.
Okay.
No comments, but I'll move the item if there are no other comments.
Do we have to make the motion for the resolution separately?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
And I have comments too.
Oh, okay. Do you mind if we take Mr. Mohill? Mr. Mohill, why don't you come up, and then we'll take Councilmember Najarian's comments.
I'm up here so often, I should have a seat. You know, what happened here about 2 weeks ago with City Attorney Mike Garcia and with Mr. Najarian was disgraceful. That's why we need to have an elected city attorney and not appointed by our 5 council members. I'm sure he was counting votes, how I should vote tonight, because he needed 3 votes to get a pay raise. And he knew probably that Mr. Najarian and Mrs. Devine was not going to give it to him. That's my assumption. I don't know for sure, but it seems pretty good because you all voted his way. And because of that, I think we should, the people in the city of Glendale should seriously consider having an elected city attorney. We have the city clerk elected. Why is the city clerk elected and not appointed? I remember asking Councilman Artie Kasakian that question years ago. And he said to me, Mike, if you have an elected city clerk, he's responsible to the people and not to the city council. Good reasoning, Art. Our city treasurer is also elected by the people and not appointed by the council or under the thumb of our city manager. Now, folks in the viewing audience, it's time we go ahead and change our charter and have asked that we have an elected city attorney, just like we have an elected city clerk and city treasurer. Because that way, if you don't like the way our city attorney handled himself like the other night, you can fire him, you know where. Because I'm getting tired. You know, Mr. Garcia always thinks about the council people first and how you think, and not about the people in the viewing audience. That's me and the thousands of people. Folks in the viewing audience, this is our turn to tell the city council that we want to take over the city attorney's job. We want to be responsible. We want him to report to us, the people, and not the city manager or our 5 city council members. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Najarian?
Thank you. I am extremely dissatisfied in the performance of Mr. Garcia. I will not be voting to approve his extension because I believe that he let the council down and he let the city down. He let us down in a moment when we needed strong and accurate legal advice. He failed to give council's advice on proper procedure during a determination of the best interest clause and the selection of the mayor last meeting. I was cut off and only given 10 minutes of time. I was not permitted to have my attorney fully address the legal issues involved at the meeting. These issues were presented to Mr. Garcia in a legal brief before the hearing. The city attorney's office did not extend the courtesy of giving me a reply brief or memo. You see, that's what attorneys do. You exchange briefs. You give them your legal reasons, and they give you your legal reasons. The courts don't like surprises, gotchas, but that's exactly what happened to me. I gave him everything that I thought was correct, and he's got a staff of 12 people or more. He could have easily given me a short memo. He wanted to surprise me, and he did. When is a party limited in their time to speak? And you all know the answer. It's when the council holds a hearing. We say the applicant has 10 minutes, the appellant has 10 minutes. So they were applying rules of a hearing to me, a city council member, saying I could only speak for 10 minutes. That wasn't my colleagues' rules. They, in all fairness, they didn't make that up. The city attorney did. On what ground, under what authority? He works directly for the city council. 10 minutes. What kind of total arbitrary amount of time is that? That was pulled out of the air. That has never been done before to a council member. Told he only has 10 minutes on a very important issue, I would say. When has a city attorney directed the city manager not to answer a question posed by a council member? Is this what we're going to let happen? If we ask a staff member a question and the city attorney says, you don't have to answer that? Completely and totally improper. He works for us. The city manager works for us. To tell the city manager not to answer a question is inexcusable. Further, he slipped into our mayor selection law the paragraph on best interests of the city. And we dealt with that a few weeks ago. We didn't know what that meant. In fact, it's coming back to us to try and determine what that meant. But that was put in there by the city attorney. When council discussed it, we gave directives. Not only on the dais did we say this is what we want in the law, longest longevity, if there's a tie, it goes to the most votes, can't be mayor when you're running for election. We never gave him orally or in writing the direction to throw in that big catch-all exception that swallows the rule. Why were we talking about all those details on percentage of votes and number of votes if at the end council can throw that all out? It's absolutely ridiculous. He's the one who drafted that. He never advised us what it meant. And he drafted it so ambiguously that it should never have been a part of the ordinance. He didn't raise it once in our discussions, and council didn't know what was going on. During the meeting, last meeting, I was not given the time to rebut the conclusory allegations of Mr. Brotman. My time was up, folks. I couldn't answer Mr. Brotman in the time that was given to me. There was a lot to be said. Nor were any of us given the opportunity to question whether Ms. Asaturian was in the best interests of the city, right? I mean, the same rule that you apply against me should have been able to be discussed with Ms. Asaturian. That was not done. You know how the vote went. There should have been 2 separate votes. Is Nigerian not in the best interests? Maybe. Is who's up next? If it's Asaturian, then we should discuss whether she's in the best interests of the city. He let this all happen, and he's wrong. And I'm sure he's telling you that you have an airtight case against my objections as to what went on. Well, let me tell you something else. No attorney says to their client that they have an airtight case unless he's trying to snow you. Any attorneys in the crowd? You know what I'm talking about. And let me tell you, the holes in your defense of what happened last meeting are so big that I'm going to drive a Mack truck through them. That's not a legal term. Actually, it's a football term. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. All of his rulings and his advice on the issue that transpired last week were while he was in contract negotiations with us. He needed 3 votes. He can count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Was it coincidental that his advice and rulings were what 3 of my colleagues wanted? He's made other bad decisions in the city, spending money, permitting the city to spend money promoting districts. I objected to that very vocally. We had a big argument about bringing bias into quasi-judicial hearings. I objected to his advice then. But I'm just extremely disappointed in the advice that he gave, and in large part, it has brought us to this level of conflict that we have in the city. And I cannot in good conscience vote for Mr. Garcia's contract.
Any other comments?
I mean, I'll second it.
Okay.
Can I briefly address the council? Madam Mayor, members of council, thank you. I'm really excited for this opportunity for this contract amendment, and I appreciate the council's consideration of it. I do not intend to respond to all of the comments made this evening, as we potentially could be down the road of litigation. However, I felt it imperative to address the questioning of my ethics regarding the advice I provided on April 2nd as it pertained to my contract. As the council is aware, based on what has been on the council agenda since July of last year, the discussion regarding my contract has been on and off discussed by the council since that time. The council and I essentially came to terms at the end of March before this item was even on the agenda. Then the preparation of staff report was made by Mr. Galani and his staff, and that agenda was published on March 29th. And so that before the discussion. And so, the council is aware of our office's reputation, I believe, that we provide advice based on what the law requires or what it does not require. And that's what we did on April 2nd. And I'm proud of the work that we do in our office. And again, I'm appreciative of your consideration for this contract. Thank you.
I do have one comment before we go to a vote. Councilmember Najarian, he may have drafted the contract, but you voted for it. The ordinances are in place in our packets every week before a council meeting. You read it or you don't. And if you didn't read it, I have other questions, but You may have drafted it, but you always say how proudly you voted for that. So with that, roll call.
What are you talking about? I'm sorry?
The ordinance that you're talking about.
The
that you
selection
say-
ordinance?
The selection ordinance that you're saying that he drafted, you voted for it.
Yes,
The
I
ord-
did.
The ordinances are in our packets. I read every single page, every single line. If I don't agree with something and it's not what it's meant to be, and there's been many, many times in the last couple of years that I've been on here that I haven't agreed. I said, this isn't what we meant. We've discussed it. I've asked for amendments. So you voted for it.
The April, it was past March 30th. The March 23rd directives given to the city attorney were specific and clear. And in no way would I anticipate that items outside of our specific direction would be included. Furthermore, he has a duty as our attorney to point that out and say, oh, by the way, guys, I know you're worried about the tiebreaker and all that, but at the end here, if you want to throw someone out, you can throw them out. And even then, that language is so ambiguous that we all agreed a month ago that it's screwed up and we have to look at it again.
You all agreed on it before you voted on it a couple of years ago. So it was in front of you. If you didn't agree for it, then you shouldn't have voted for it, sir.
I shouldn't expect my attorney to slip something in on us,
Well, it's not
which
about
is what he
slipping.
did.
It's about reading a packet.
Well, I know you're happy about that section, of course. That's
Roll call,
what, that's
please.
what made you the illegitimate mayor.
Maybe I'll say
Yeah.
something. I just want to say something in support of our city attorney, because this allegation that he's counting votes, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is theater, okay? This is theater, what's happening here. Mr. Najarian knows what he said is not true.
It is true.
I'm speaking.
Well, don't accuse me.
The idea, are we going to go through this again?
Please,
Yeah, we are.
please, it's his time. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Okay,
sir.
I'm not going to be interrupted?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. We can't speak about what happens in closed session, unfortunately. So I can't tell you what I know about the positions that various people in that room took. But I can tell you that he knows that this idea that 3 votes were counted is wrong. And he's a good actor, and he can pretend.
Madam Mayor, point of order.
Allow him to finish.
Personal attacks
No,
on
allow-
a council member
allow
are not
him-
permitted, and they are against our code of conduct.
Finish, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. What I said is he's a good actor, and this is theater, okay? So I hope nobody believes that, okay? The last thing I'll say is the reason we had what happened 2 weeks ago is not because of our city attorney's advice. It's for one reason, and one reason only, and that's that Councilmember Najarian repeated lies that he knows are not
Point of
true.
order. Those are unsubstantiated, and anytime you want to bring witness.
I have it in writing. I have it in writing.
Bring it forward,
that Mr.
then.
Najarian knows that what he said is not true. Okay? I can publish that email that you sent to me, but he knows that what he said is not true. And he would not correct the record, even though I urged him to.
You extorted me, Mr. Brotman.
And I told
The
him,
word
I'll tell you,
Madam,
I don't.
Councilman Najarian, this is his time to speak.
It's a point of order.
No,
If he's making attacks, that's a point of order. Why don't you bring some order to this meeting?
That would require for you to behave like a council member.
It would require him not to make personal attacks.
I'm going to just say the facts, okay? And I have an email. So this is very simple. It's very straightforward, okay? He knows that the 2 things he said in that interview are not true. He told me, and he even wrote a draft of a statement that he was considering making that says that. I urged him to make that statement. And what I told him, he can call it extortion, he can call it whatever he wants. What I told him was the following. I said to him, and we had a beer. We sat down at a restaurant a week before the mayor selection. And I said to him, look, you know what you said is not true. What I suggest you do is you make a statement. You acknowledge that there is no factual basis for these claims you made. You apologize for making them. and you agree to work with your colleagues and the community on a truth and reconciliation process so that everybody in the community can discuss their difference on the basis of facts, not lies. I said, if you do these 3 things, my commitment to you is that I will not vote for mayor. I will abstain. I will abstain. If it's a 2-2 tie, then we'll just carry it over to the next meeting. And if we can't decide at the next meeting, we'll carry it over to the meeting after that. And we can continue to do that as long as it takes until you and Councilmember Satrian go in that back room there or anywhere else and decide who's going to be mayor this year and who's going to be mayor next year. Like grown-ups, you could flip a coin, all I care, but just get the job done, decide, and when we have a majority, I will join that majority, but I will not break the tie. That's the truth, guys.
Mayor,
Councilmember,
can we, there's an item here before us, and
I
I think
would
we
like to
probably.
stay on topic.
I know.
I'd like to stay on topic.
Okay.
We have an item. We
But
have a,
claims were made, and I want to set the record straight for the public. That's what happened.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call, please?
And that was an admission to extortion for any police and law enforcement officer out there.
Okay, Councilmember Brotman,
Yes.
Divine, Kasakian,
Yes.
Najarian,
No.
Mayor Asatryan.
Yes. Next item?
Next item is under hearings, community development regarding unpermitted demolition of a historic resource at 1239 North Everett Street, to consider issuance of penalties and to authorize recordation of instrument imposing covenants memorializing the penalties. And this is continued from April 2nd, 2024 council meeting. And my understanding is that it will be continued to April 30th.
Correct.
We're not
Do we
doing
need
No,
to do
we're
that
continuing
with a
that.
motion? I will move that we move I will make the motion to move the hearing to April 30th with no further additional notice.
Okay, I'll second that.
Roll call?
Council members Brotman,
Yes.
Divine, Kasakian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Mayor Asatryan.
Yes. Next item?
Next are oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Council may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The city manager may refer the matter to the appropriate department for investigation and report. We have a number of speaker cards. We have 4 speaker cards for oral communication.
Great. And we are taking the last one after the first speaker is done. Thank you.
The first speaker is Elder Leifer Christensen.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Elder Leifer Christensen, and I'm a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Church of Jesus Christ is a worldwide church that has been established in Glendale for decades. I'm a missionary specifically for the California Arcadia Mission, which runs from Rancho Cucamonga to Tujunga and down to Chino Hills in East Los Angeles. We have roughly 200 missionaries, with 12 currently serving in Glendale. Missionaries like myself serve in the community, working with both religious and community organizations to improve the lives of those around us. We seek to minister as the Savior would, expressing his loving kindness, as well as sharing the joy we've received from Jesus Christ. Today, we want to introduce a resource for community service to the city called Just Serve. Just Serve is a website and app created by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, where volunteer needs of organizations are posted and volunteers search for opportunities to enhance the quality of life in the community. It is a free service, and setting up an account is really easy. All that is needed is an email and a password. This means that community, religious, and governmental organizations, as well as the city of Glendale, can post community service projects, such as painting buildings, cleaning parks, feeding the needy, etc. Those who sign up will be able to receive information about projects in the area. Volunteers can then easily find out information about a project that fits their interests and availability. We are hopeful that if the city of Glendale were to adopt usage of Just Serve, that both missionaries and members of our church would be able to serve in the community more. We would do this free of charge and without proselyting. We seek to live the first and second commandments found in the New Testament to both love God and love our neighbors as ourselves. We hope to be able to share more of God's love through service. In addition, we know that whether community members are Christian or Muslim, religious or not, this app is a fantastic way to help people serve their city. We know that it can help build bridges of understanding, as well as foster unity in the city of Glendale. People from different backgrounds and walks of life will be able to serve alongside each other for the common cause of improving their city. I'm personally very grateful for the opportunity I've had to live here in Glendale. I've served in Glendale for about 10 months, and I've loved my time here. I and the 3 missionaries that are here with me were assigned to learn the Armenian language. And while that's been a very difficult task, it's brought with it the wonderful blessing of getting to know the Armenian community. We love the Armenian community here, even though we can't speak the language super well. To give back to them as well as Glendale as a whole would be a tremendous privilege. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Our next speaker is Corey DeCola.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members and staff. My name is Corey DeCola, and I live in Glendale. I've come here to talk to you about 2 points of interest here in Glendale that are important to me. Before I get to my points, I would like to give you, Mayor Asatarian, my biggest congratulations for your service in this community and your recent election. It truly was a historical moment for all of us. I know there was a lot of controversy surrounding this election, which actually caused me to get more involved in my community, which brings me to my first concern. I have noticed an uptick in transgender discrimination and rhetoric that is divisive and uncivil. I had noticed Councilmember Najarian had spoken on record some anti-trans statements regarding practices that never happened at GUSD. This video has been hidden on my Glendale YouTube page as unlisted. Is there any reason for this? I personally have been the target of this hateful behavior in my resident city by others who express the same sentiments and statements made by Councilmember Najarian. Over the course of the last 2 weeks, I have been in contact with members of our community that are interested in how can we as a community build a safer, more inclusive environment for the community members here in Glendale. There is an app called Nextdoor, which is supposed to be a safe place for our neighbors to talk about local issues, and the amount of divisiveness on that platform is astounding. I understand that the council has no opinion or a limited opinion regarding a private platform. However, in light of recent events, bringing to light these concerns are paramount to the continued success of our city. After all, a city may be ran by a council, but without the people, there would be no council. My questions for Councilmember Najarian is, how can you have such distasteful and bigoted comments towards our community? Is that prudent to your elected office going forward? You were recently on a podcast with Alex Belekian, whose husband, James Clark, went on a now deleted post of his on Nextdoor that linked that podcast. James and Alex both had disparaging comments to say about the trans community, including that we are the vocal fringe and that we should suck it up regarding hate speech. The post may be gone digitally, but luckily the internet is forever and we have screenshots. Do you think the fellow residents here in Glendale would like to know that you support and endorse the running of a bigot for Congress? This next point that I'd like to address is on a lighter note. I would like to address my unwavering support for the addition of the bicycle lanes on North Brand Avenue. With the upcoming spring and summer months, these changes will allow for further expansion of cyclists and hopefully will allow a safer travel experience for us all in Glendale. We have far too many cases of vehicles speeding, running red lights, running stop signs in residential areas, and simply being a danger to the community. A dedicated bike lane may ensure a safer city all around, so thank you for your efforts to continue making Glendale a safer city than it was yesterday. I highly appreciate the opportunity to come up and share my thoughts and concerns with you all. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Tomik Alexanian.
Madam Clerk, do we have more? Or is this the last one?
We have one more card and a caller.
If we can ask, we can just call the name of the next person.
Yes.
Just to make it more efficient.
Yes, following Tomik is Herbert Milano, and following that, we have a caller online.
Okay, and we have closed the comments, correct?
Yes.
Honorable Mayor, council members, city manager, staff,
Last week, I'm Tomik Alexanian, resident of Glendale since 1978. Last week, we came forward to express the concerns of the homeowners on Dora Verdugo and Oakmont View. And we thank you for your attention and your kind of order to investigate about this specific location that we just recently discovered that is going to be a rehab center. Today, we are gathered, the representative of the homeowners in that area, and I would like, with your permission, ask Mrs. Vianush Grigorian to elaborate more on follow-up of my last week's presentation. And also, we have a petition signed by majority of the homeowners, which we would like to present to each one of you, the council members. Shall I give it to?
If you can give that to the city clerk, and please note that we are trying to stay on track for the next meeting that starts at 8, so you're going to have to fit into this time.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to present our case to City of Glendale. Dora Verdugo is a very family-oriented area, and specifically the street that we are living in. It's a cul-de-sac which are resided by many families with kids and grandkids, and even though it's kind of being out of ordinary for America to have streets that children are walking and playing and laughing, that's our street. It's a cul-de-sac surrounded by families with kids. So all of a sudden, few months ago, we realized that our own neighbor is turning, the previous owner was an elderly Chinese nice gentleman. He passed away or moved out of the area and sold the property to these new people. And we kind of know them as far, not personally. They got a loan as a residential property, and me being a real estate and mortgage broker, I kind of did my research and realized that he acquired the loan by defrauding the banking system and getting a loan under primary homeowner loan, and then turn around in few months, rented to this business, and apparently the business is a drug rehab center, which it brings this enormous amount of concern and anxiety to all homeowners. Considering the traffic, considering the environment, considering the caliber of people that they're going to come into our neighborhood, having drug dealers coming into our street, this is a huge concern, and we can't even understand the gravity of this situation, that how could a city allow such a business to be operating next to a residential area that are occupied by families with small young children. And we are here pleading for your concern and attention to see how can you help us to prevent this from happening to our neighborhood. I cannot dream or even think that any person among you guys would imagine that a rehab center comes and operates next door to you. While your children are playing in the backyard and the street, they have to witness the activity of this caliber of people. So this is our concern today, and we are all here, and we are going to pursue this to whatever it takes, because I personally been in this house for 28 years, and I can't imagine that after being all this time, I have to deal with this kind of a concern. I appreciate your time, and we hope that you are going to take this into your advisement and help us to finalize and get a solution to this situation.
Thank you. I know we're not supposed to do a back and forth, but I do want to stress that I would have, if I was you, and I am in this position, gravely concerned about what you're telling me.
Yes.
And what you're sharing. I'm looking forward to us looking at the packets and following up with staff on what we can do, because none of our neighborhoods should be threatened in that way. I think that is a safety and security issue for all families in Glendale, regardless of what street they live on. So there maybe have to be zones for these things, but want to look at, why don't we talk through it with staff, and then we can figure out what things we can do or can't do.
Mayor Asatrian, members of City Council, as you noted, I also share the concern of the residents. Actually, I have friends who live on that street. However, this residential drug rehab home is permitted through the state. The state allows up to 6 residents within these facilities. They don't have to get permits from the city. Only state is allowed to permit them, and they have. However, they've done some illegal construction work, and we have issued stop orders, and our inspectors checked today, and they have actually stopped working on the house until such time that they get the proper permits. We will, as you noted, further look into what avenues we have in order to curtail these kind of facilities within residential neighborhoods. But Dora Verdugo is not the only only street that the state has permitted such facilities.
But I'm assuming that we can potentially do something on a local level where we restrict where these things can and cannot be, and so.
Unfortunately, there's very little local agencies, cities, municipalities can do, but we will, like I mentioned, we will look further into the possibility of doing that.
Okay.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you. And then, Madam Clerk, you have the presentations that they have, the packets, okay. Are there more speakers?
Yes, our next speaker is Herbert Milano.
Mayor Satrian, members of the City Council, my name is Herbert Milano. For many years, I've been coming before the City Council to encourage the City Council to be prudent about the city's finances, to be transparent about the process by which you prepare a budget, and also to highlight the constraints that the city faces financially. If you were to take a look at page 96 of the city's budget from last year, you will see appropriations of nearly $1.2 billion and revenues of $1 billion. And that shortfall is being met by the balances from the other accounts that the city has had. But at the end of the day, the city is under severe and serious financial constraints. The driver of those financial constraints came on April 24th of 2001, when the city approved the MOUs for police and fire that allowed them to retire at age 50 with 90% of their pay, retroactive 30 years. On April 24th, 2001, it took less than 60 seconds for the City Council to approve what in effect became a $1 million additional retirement income for firefighters and police back then. A burden that increased the city's obligation by $400 million instantly. And then the city continued to do additional changes to the pension system in 2005 when it did it for the management as well and increased their rate of benefits. The constraint that has occurred with those additional burdens is to the tune of more than $1 billion in additional obligations. Over $600 million of those at a quantity that the city does not have the means to pay. The city also depends then on CalPERS to be able to have a return on investment. And CalPERS' return on investment has been insufficient to meet the obligation. So when the city tries to figure out how to balance its budget because it has to pay CalPERS for the shortfall, we have increases in sales taxes, increases in the additional fees that the city has to pay, increases in the electrical rate, transfers from the electrical rate to the general fund. The many processes that the city has taken in order to be able to meet its budget is causing a significant constraint to the general public. And I'm making the following suggestions. That when the city negotiates MOUs, that it does so with full transparency and with public participation, that the public be aware of what is being transacted and being approved. Second thing that I'm suggesting is that the city create annually a quality of life reports so that we can know what items in the city need attention and that you adjust the budget to those needs. And it could be improvements on roads, increase of parkland in the areas that are deficient, or increased preventive services to prevent the problems that the police need to contend with. In addition to that, I have been recommending that the city create a type of reporting that many of the best-run cities in the nation has, and that's a strategic planning, and the suggestion that I have is a balanced scorecard. Proper strategic planning, an annual report on quality of life, and transparency with regard to MOUs might frame a better way of looking at the city's budget for discussion. Thank you very much.
Our final speaker is on the phone, David Tralongo. David, you're on air. You have 5 minutes.
I'm a 34-year resident and voted for all of you on council. I have some questions and concerns regarding the recent decision to place Ellen in the mayor's position. This council was responsible for putting in place the current selection process in 2021 for mayor. It seems to have worked fine for Artie, and it seems to have worked fine for Dan, but now all of a sudden it's no longer fair and needs to be modified. Being that council approved this previously, and if the current law needs to be changed, then council should, in its entirety, and in a public forum, discuss the changes or revisions to the current law for selecting mayor. I have serious concerns about this process, if you can actually call it a process, to just put in place whom you choose because you suddenly feel that the current law isn't working for you. And if we also look at paragraph H, which is basically some sort of odd out clause that was put in place by the city attorney, it appears that this was done without clearly being vetted by the entire council, and there are concerns about potential legality. The H clause doesn't seem to fix anything anyway, as all it takes is two people on the city council who are in agreement that someone else should be mayor instead of the individual who is scheduled to be, along with the vote from the individual they want to put in the mayor's seat instead of the council member that is scheduled to be mayor. So that's fair. Artie, you seem to be the one who's all about fairness. So how fair is this? I really don't care who the mayor is, but it needs to be done in a legal, predictable manner in which the public is aware that things are being done properly and transparently. If you want to change the current law, do it. But the reasons that have been outlined by Artie and Dan are not acceptable. I would have hoped that the city attorney would have stepped in here and indicated that they should maintain the current manner of selecting mayor until the entire council chooses a different method. But clearly that hasn't happened, and the question in my mind is why? It has become quite clear that Paula Devine was the only rational individual left on council in this matter. And she had indicated that the current rules should remain in place for the selection process until changed. I'm not including Ara in this as he's in the middle and it's his turn. Have you not considered that this damages all of your credibility? I'm speaking to you, Artie, Dan, and Ellen. Or don't you care? Let's do this right and move Glendale forward to a positive future. Thank you all for the opportunity today.
And that was the last caller.
Next item?
Next item is adjournment.
No, we have
Oh,
new business.
I'm sorry, new
There's
business.
2 items. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see, I move that the city attorney, with the assistance of the law firms of Barron and Budd PC and Kosich, Sumich, Parciola, and Taylor LLC, collectively attorneys, is hereby authorized to commence litigation and file complaints as necessary in the matter entitled In Re Aqueous Film Forming Products Liability Litigation, case number 2:18 MN 2873, PFAS litigation matter, in order to preserve the city's claims and interests and to accept and enter into settlement of claims related thereto in its discretion. Additionally, the City Council ratifies the complaint filed on behalf of the city on April 1st, 2024, entitled City of Glendale, California versus 3M Company et al., Charleston Division, in the PFAS litigation matter.
Second.
Roll call?
Council members Brotman,
Yes.
Divine, Kasakian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Mayor Asatryan.
Yes.
All right, I would like to move that the city attorney I would like to move that the city attorney's entry into a legal services agreement with the law firm of Colantuono, Highsmith, and Watley to advise and represent city's interest in a matter is hereby ratified and approved, and the city attorney is authorized to incur all necessary expenses in connection therewith. The agreement shall, in addition to other provisions, contain a fee cap for the provision of said services.
Second.
Roll call?
Council members Brotman,
Yes.
Divine, Kasakian,
Yes.
Najarian,
This is against me, so I have to abstain.
Mayor Asatryan.
Yes. We have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Madam Clerk, we're going to take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll start the next.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.